Everything you need to know about the African Development Bank. Hello, Displorers! Welcome to another informative video presented to you by Displorer, and thanks for watching. The name African Development Bank has been thrown around a lot when talking about loans and developmental projects around Africa, but it will not come as a surprise that many are not familiar with the ins and outs of this very important African developmental supporter and organization. In this video, we shall look at everything you need to know about the African Development Bank. If you're new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. An overview of the African Development Bank. The African Development Bank Group, AfDB or ADB, or Banque Africaine de Développement, is a multilateral development finance institution. The AfDB was founded in 1964 and comprises three entities, which include the African Development Bank, the African Development Fund, and the Nigeria Trust Fund. The AfDB's mission is to fight poverty and improve living conditions on the continent through promoting the investment of public and private capital in projects and programs that are likely to contribute to the economic and social development of the region. The AfDB is a financial provider to African governments and private companies investing in the regional member countries. While it was originally headquartered in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, the bank's headquarters moved to Tunis, Tunisia in 2003 due to the Ivorian Civil War before returning in September 2014. History. Following the end of the colonial period in Africa, a growing desire for more unity within the continent led to the establishment of two draft charters. One for the establishment of the Organization of African Unity, which was established in 1963, later replaced by the African Union, and for a regional development bank. A draft accord was submitted to the top African officials then to the Conference of Finance Masters on the establishment of an African Development Bank. This conference was convened by the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, UNECA, in Khartoum, Sudan, from July 31st to 4th August. It was here that the agreement establishing the African Development Bank was co-signed by 23 African governments on the 4th of August 1963. The agreement came into force on the 10th of September 1964. The inaugural meeting of the Board of Governors of the bank was held from the 4th to 7th November 1964 in Lagos, Nigeria. The bank's headquarters opened in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire in March 1965, and the bank's operations commenced on 1st July 1966. From February 2003 onwards, the bank operated from its temporary relocation agency in Tunis, Tunisia, owing to the prevailing political conflict in Côte d'Ivoire at the time. The bank was able to return to its original headquarters in Abidjan in late 2013 once the political crisis was over. By June 2015, over 1,500 staff had returned to the bank's Abidjan headquarters out of more than 1,900 total staff complement at the bank. Although originally only African countries were able to join the bank, since 1982 it has allowed the entry of non-African countries as well. Since its founding, AfDB has financed 2,885 operations for a total of $47.5 billion. In 2003, it received a AAA rating from the major financial rating agencies and had a capital of $32.043 billion. In November 2019, the bank's capital was reported to be at $208 billion. Group entities of the bank. The African Development Bank Group has two other entities, the African Development Fund and the Nigeria Trust Fund, which function in diverse ways to serve the main objectives of the bank. African Development Fund (ADF). Established in 1972, the African Development Fund started operations in 1974. The African Development Fund provides development finance on concessional terms to low-income regional member countries, RMCs, which are unable to borrow on the non-concessional terms of the AfDB. In harmony with its lending strategy, poverty reduction is the main aim of the ADF activities. 24 non-African countries along with the AfDB constitute its current membership. The largest ADF shareholder is the United Kingdom with approximately 14% of the total working shares, followed by the United States with approximately 6.5% of the total voting shares, followed by Japan with approximately 5.4%. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York was designated as the depositor bank for the fund, according to telegraph sent from the U.S. Embassy in Abidjan in 1976. The ADF's general operations were decided by the Board of Directors, 6 of which are appointed by the non-African member states and 6 designated by the AfDB from among the bank's regional executive directors. The ADF's sources are mainly contributions and periodic replacement by non-African member states. The fund is usually replenished after every 3 years, unless member states decide otherwise. The ADF lends at no interest rate, with an annual service charge of 0.75%, a commitment fee of 0.5%, and a 50-year repayment period, including a 10-year grace period. Nigeria Trust Fund (NTF). The Nigeria Trust Fund was established in 1976 by the Nigerian government with an initial capital of $80 million, aimed at assisting in the development efforts of the poorest AfDB members. The NTF uses its resources to provide financing for projects of national or regional importance, which further the economic and social development of the low-income regional member countries whose economic and social conditions require financing on non-conventional terms. In 1996, the NTF had a total resource base of $432 million. It lent at a 4% interest rate with a 25-year repayment period, including a 5-year grace period. The loans can be used for concessional loan operations with long and short-term maturity. Management and control of AfDB. The AfDB is controlled by a board of executive directors made up of representatives of its member countries. The voting power on the board is split according to the size of each member's share, currently 60% to 40% between African or regional countries and non-regional member countries, also known as donors. The largest African Development Bank shareholder is Nigeria, with nearly 9% of the vote. All member countries of the AfDB are represented on the AfDB Board of Executive Directors. Dr. Akin Wumi Ayodeji Adesina is the 8th elected president of the African Development Bank Group, having taken the oath of office since September 1, 2015. He chairs the boards of both the African Development Bank and the African Development Fund. Dr. Adesina served as Nigeria's Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development from 2011 to 2015. Member governments are officially represented at the AfDB by the Minister of Finance, Planning, or Corporation, who sits on the AfDB Board of Governors. The AfDB governors meet once a year in May to take major decisions about the institution's leadership, strategic directions, and governing bodies. The governors typically appoint a representative from their country to serve in the offices of the AfDB's Board of Executive Directors. Day-to-day decisions about which loans and grants should be approved and what policies should guide the AfDB's work are taken by the Board of Executive Directors. Each member country is represented on the board, but their voting power and influence differs depending on the amount of money they contribute to the AfDB. Functions of the AfDB. The primary function of AfDB is making loans and equity investments for the socio-economic advancement of regional member countries. Second, the bank provides technical assistance for development projects and programs. Third, it promotes investment of public and private capital for development. Fourth, the bank assists in organizing the development policies of RMCs. The AfDB is also required to give special attention to national and multinational projects which are needed to promote regional integration. Mobilizing financial resources from the government or the foreign financial institutions with a view to lending the money for development of specific sectors of the economy. The AfDB promotes economic development and social progress of its RMCs in Africa, and the bank commits approximately $3 billion annually to African countries. Its relatively small lending and tendency to follow in the footsteps of more prominent public institutions like the World Bank implies that the African Development Bank has been receiving little interest from civil society organizations, as well as academia. AfDB emphasizes the role of women along with education reforms, and lends its support to key initiatives such as debt alleviation for heavily indebted poor countries and the New Partnership for Africa's Development, NEPAD. While the AfDB's lending had not expanded significantly in recent years, 2006 figures indicated that things may be changing. Between 2005 and 2006, the AfDB's lending activities increased by more than 30% to $3.4 billion. Members: all countries in the African Union, including Mauritania, but excluding the SADR, are eligible for NTF benefits. There are non-African member countries, but not all countries have voting rights. The country with the highest voting right is Nigeria, with 16.80%, followed by USA with 6.563%. Kenya has the smallest voting rights of 1.430%. The bank currently has 80 members, 54 countries in Africa, and 26 American, European, and Asian countries. United Nations Business. The United Nations launched development business in 1978 with the support of the World Bank and many other major development banks from around the world. Today, development business is the primary publication for all major multilateral development banks, including the African Development Bank, United Nations agencies, and several national governments, many of whom have made the publication of their tenders and contracts in development business mandatory. There you have it, explorers. That was everything you needed to know about the African Developmental Bank. Thanks for watching this video, and if you did enjoy the video, do well to give it a thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe and share with your friends.